Good evening, Sansui fans. Now it's Friday night for me, and I'm having a night in with the Sansui 310. So although I've got the Optonica on the table, that is just because it's so heavy I haven't moved it, and I haven't found nowhere to put it yet because it is just so big. And to tell you the truth, I do actually like it just sitting on my table. Every time I come in this room and look at that Optonica, it just makes me smile because it is so massive. But we're not here to talk about the Optonica today. Today I'm going to talk about the Sansui 310 receiver. Now it's 15 watts per channel into 8 ohms and it's from 1972. And it has just been repaired on my other channel, and I've been using this Sansui loads for probably about the last 3 weeks. Most days I've been using this Sansui. I've had a few weekends using it and it is working really nicely, so there is nothing wrong with this Sansui now. It's working like a good one. So let's turn it on and then we'll dive into what I think about this vintage Sansui 310 receiver. So while I was fixing this Sansui, and I had it a little while just sitting on my floor while I was waiting for some parts and some bulbs and that. So in that time I was mainly listening to the Pioneer SX434. Now, I like that Pioneer, it's very rhythmical, it's a nice receiver, so I was mainly listening to that every day. So I sort of went from that to this Sansui, and the first thing you notice about this Sansui is it is so smooth. So what do I mean by that, saying it is so smooth? For those of you who are into hi-fi and have had a fair few receivers and amplifiers over the years, you know what I'm talking about by saying smooth. But for those of you that don't, I mean it's like, it's really laid back. It's doing everything just effortlessly. There is nothing sharp about it. It does not get screechy. It does not get shouty. It is just so laid back. So it is so different to the Pioneer. And let's say it like this. If they was both people and you went for a drink Friday night with the Pioneer would take you to the busiest pub in town. You would be drinking pints followed by shots. It would spend most of its night jumping up and down by the jukebox and playing on the fruit machine. And then on the way home you would get a kebab, and then it would probably get into a fight and get itself arrested. But the Sansui wouldn't do that. If you went for a drink with this Sansui, it would take you to the poshest wine bar in town, or maybe a jazz club, and you'd sit in the corner by the piano, and the man playing the piano would play all the songs that the Sansui likes to listen to. And all the ladies would be round your table listening to the Sansui chatting away. And then when the bar closed, you would not go to the kebab shop. You would jump into the Sansui's lovely vintage white Rolls Royce with a few of the ladies, and you would go on to a late night club. And when you got there, you would all be on the guest list, because that's how smooth this Sansui is. So as you can tell, I like this Sansui. I've really been enjoying listening to this the last few weeks. And when I put it on, like for the first time listening to it, the sound of it, it's just a sound I know so well, the sound of this Sansui. It was like being reunited with an old friend when I first got this thing running. because a few years ago I went through a stage where I probably had 5 or 6, maybe even 7 of these Sansuis one after the other. Not this exact model. I think I only had one of this model, but I had a few 210s. I think I had a 300s, and I think I had a few 350s. But they're all kind of very similar. And I went through a thing where I'd buy one, fix it, and then be using it for a while, and then I'd come across another one. I found a few of them in charity shops, and I can remember me and my missus went down the coast one day, and we was having a little mooch about in the town, and I found a 350 in a little junk shop, and it was really nice condition. And that one, I sold it to one of my friends, and he has still got it, and he's still going strong, and it's really nice, that one. It's in lovely condition. So for a few years, I really did sort of always have one of these Sansuis round me, because I just kept finding them, and I did buy the odd one off of eBay. I can remember getting a few local and got my mate to give me a lift to go and collect them because they was really local. And I'm going back a few years, say maybe 8 or 10 years ago. A Sansui like this on eBay 10 years ago or 8 years ago that wasn't working really was worth nothing because no one wanted it. So especially if it was collection only and had no postage on it, then no one was going after it. And I can remember buying a 210 where I was the only bidder and I won it for 99p, and I went and collected it, and it was a young lad who had it, and it was in fantastic condition. It was like mint, and all that was wrong with it was one of the speaker terminals on the back had snapped off. It was like hanging out the casing a bit where something had caught it. So that's all that was wrong with it. So when I went to collect it, this young lad had set it all up in his mum's dining room, set it on the table so I could hear it working before I collected it. So when I got there, he said, "Here, I'll come in, I'll show you it's working." And he run through it and he went, "It works all good." He said, "And look, that terminal, you can't hold the speaker wire on it, but if you touch the wire on it," so he just touched one of the speaker wires onto the broken terminal, and then that speaker kicked into life. So he showed me it was all working. So I couldn't take it for 99p. He was a nice young lad. So I remember I gave him 20 quid. I said, "Mate, I can't take that off you for 99p. That's lovely, that is." So I gave him £20 for it. And it really was a nice one, that one. And I remember getting it home, and I didn't even have to buy a new terminal for it. I just took it apart, and it just clipped back into place, and a bit of soldering, it was good as gold again. So that's what I'm saying. A few years ago, no one wanted these old Sansuis, but things are very different now and everyone wants them. So the days of finding one of these working or not for 99p, that's just not going to happen anymore. Because people will buy it for a lot more than that, and even if it's not working, they just break it up because they can earn money out of the parts. And just to set the record straight, I have never ever done that. I have never bought an amplifier or a receiver and broken it up for the parts. I just wouldn't be able to do that because to me, these old vintage amplifiers and receivers, they've got a life of their own, they've got a soul, so I wouldn't be able to break one up. You've just got to keep them together. And I like getting the ones that I think would get broken up for parts. I love getting them ones and bringing them back to life. I really enjoy doing that. And it makes me feel good because I feel like I have saved them from the parts bin. So as you can see, I've got this one working today on these two little sets of speakers. So I'm running all four off of this. I've got two of them silver little Mission speakers. Well, they're actually Denon, but they are made by Mission. And I've had them little Sonys working on it. So I've been running this at nice low volume, sitting quite close to it with these four speakers going on it, and yeah, it does sound really nice. And it's got that lovely bass. That's the one thing I'm going to give to this Sansui. It's got a lovely bass to it. You know that bass, it's that lovely bass that kind of drives the music. So if you play something through this that's got a good bit of bass to it, it sounds lovely on this Sansui because it does tend to sort of drive the music with the bass first. It's like very bass orientated for a little low powered receiver. Now I'm not saying this receiver is like all bass and it's got a ton of bass to it. It hasn't. It's just what it's doing with the bass is really good. It's not making everything bass heavy so you can't hear the like top end and all that. It's not doing that. It's just driving the bass in such a really nice way that the bass becomes like what you tend to listen to more on this Sansui. You kind of focus on the bass of it more because the bass is like its secret weapon. And I'm not saying it's got a bad top end or anything like that, because it hasn't. If you play a CD through this that hasn't got no bass on it, that's all like women's vocals or guitars and stuff with no bass going on, a bit of piano or something, this Sansui is doing that nice as well. So when you kind of lose the bass from it, it still is a nice sounding receiver, but I would say with this one it is more enjoyable if you put something through it that has got a little bit of bass to it, because that is just the best feature about this Sansui. What it does with the bass is really nice to listen to. And these speakers that I've got it running through, they are probably not the best for getting the best sound out of this Sansui. I think a better speaker on this would bring that bass out even more. I think this Sansui could do with a bit of a laid back mellow speaker. Something like that on it would really suit it. So like I said, I'm going to do for the Pioneer 434, and that is get a set of speakers for it that I think will really suit it. I'm going to do the same for this Sansui. I'm going to try and buy a set of speakers that I think will work really well on this Sansui. And when I was thinking about it earlier, thinking what do I think will work well on this old Sansui, and what comes to mind would be a nice little set of vintage Bang& Olufsen's. I think a nice set of Bang& Olufsen speakers on this Sansui would really work well. Or maybe even a nice early set of little Goodman speakers, or maybe a right old set of Wolfdales might work well on this. But I was thinking of the Bang& Olufsen, because a lot of them old vintage Bang& Olufsen's are really laid back with really nice bass, so I do think they'd suit this well. And I know a lot of you out there really don't rate the old Bang& Olufsen stuff, but I do rate it. I think some of their stuff is really good, especially for the money you can pick it up for, because you have to look at stuff like that. Whenever I look at stuff, I always look at the price as well. You can't say a pair of speakers that was 50 quid don't sound as good as them £1,000 ones, 'cause that is just a bit ridiculous. You have to compare them £50 speakers to other £50 speakers. So that's why I like a lot of the Bang& Olufsen stuff. For the money you can get it for, it's really good value for money, and some of it can deliver a really good sound when paired with the right receiver or the right amplifier. But don't think, oh, I've seen some Bang& Olufsen speakers cheap on eBay, I might buy them, because most of the old vintage Bang& Olufsen speakers, they suffer from the dreaded foam rot. So with me, if I buy a set of vintage Bang& Olufsen speakers, which I have done a lot over the years, I know I'm going to have to do new surrounds on them. I'm going to have to sort them out because they won't work properly. Even if the foam looks in quite good condition, it will need changing, because if that foam is old, it can look good, but them speakers will not sound as good as they can. So really, you just need to refoam the old Bang& Olufsens. And alright, you could buy a set off eBay where someone has done it, but you don't know who has done it. And it's quite an easy thing to mess up refoaming the speakers. It only takes them to be done a little bit out of line, and then the coils are all rubbing and that, and again them speakers will not sound no good. So like the speakers I've got on this Sansui, the Sonys actually sort of work quite good with this Sansui. So do their missions really. The Sonys was not so good on the Pioneer. They are better on this Sansui. But I have found with this Sansui, if I run all four of these, it sounds so much better than just a set of these on their own. By running all four of these little speakers in them little stacks like I've got it, and stick it sitting nice and close to it, I've been getting a really good sound out of this little setup I've got here. I really have. It surprised me how good a sound I have got, because there's not much money's worth of speakers here. And this Sansui isn't a really expensive vintage receiver. So for what money's worth of stuff I've got sitting on this table, I am getting a really good sound out of it. I think I can improve on the sound, like I said, by getting better speakers on this Sansui, something that suits it a bit better, something nice and laid back. But it still sounds very nice with these four speakers on it that I have got going at the minute. Only at low volumes, I haven't been cranking it right up. It's only 15 watts per channel. If I want to play stuff loud, I've got that Sansui in my cabinet there, and that Technics. Both of them are really loud, so I use them if I'm going to crank it up. Or I have been using the little Pioneer SX434, because that Pioneer seems to egg you on to turn it up. It loves being turned up, that Pioneer. But I haven't really done it with this Sansui. This Sansui sounds lovely, just at nice, normal listening volumes. So I've just been shouted by my missus. She has just got home and she has bought in a nice Chinese takeaway. So I'm going to go and eat that now. And then I shall come back and I shall put on this, my little set of solid speakers that I use for critical listening, and then I shall put some nice vocals and that on this Sansui and put it through its paces through them little solid speakers, and try and go a bit more into detail about what this old Sansui sounds like. Because I did mean to go a bit more into detail in this video about what this Sansui sounds like, but I got a little bit sidetracked by how smooth it is and then started talking about speakers. So in the next video I shall do more of the sound in this Sansui, and I shall do more what it sounds like in that critical listening situation. So thank you for watching, and I shall see you next time.